All right, my name is Sohan Banerjee. I'm here to talk today about our software that we developed, RadSimPE, an educational radiology simulator for perceptual radiology education. So we have no disclosures to make. Simulation tools over the years have improved quite a lot and have shown educational benefit in various fields, including in piloting, PC repair, and nursing, amongst many others. Simulation has begun to play a role in radiology education, but is typically used as a means to augment case volume. Recent studies have demonstrated that there is increased diagnostic performance for radiologists after undergoing perceptual training. And while most areas in radiology are perceptual, there is limited educational emphasis on addressing the human factors that are related to perceptual errors. Our purpose was to create a standalone perceptual training radiology simulation software. We called it RadSimPE, short for Radiology Simulation for Perceptual Education. The goal is to allow trainees to practice image interpretation on a simulated radiology workstation, similar to what real radiologists use, provide integrated perceptual training materials, and evaluate education for effectiveness and generate quantitative educational outcomes data for research or QI. So just a guide of how the software works. First, the user opens the application, they enter their credentials provided to them by the instructor. They view the consent document, they either accept it or they don't and close the application. After which they view the instructions. Then they have a chance to practice using the software on a practice case set and ask instructors any questions if they have them. After which they start with the first case set. Individuals in the experimental group will then view the perceptual education research, while individuals in the control group will view a related control educational assignment. Then both groups then do case set 2, after which each group switch the educational materials to ensure that each trainee gets the same educational benefit from the study. Finally, they close with case set 3, after which they then close the application. So I want to go over some of the key features of RadSimPE. First one is its customizability. It can read trainee-specific educational scripts from CSV text files, which can be generated in Excel or any spreadsheet document. Here's an example of one I created for Central Line Education. Here you can see in the Excel table in the top, it shows the DICOM file and then questions that I want to ask and the answer choices available. And down here in RadSimPE program, you see the image associated with the DICOM name and the questions that are associated with the ones we wanted the trainees to answer, which they can answer. Additionally, it saves data in a quantitative form, also in like a CSV text file that can be manipulated or used in Excel. It saves various things like where they put the marker, what do they use to process the image? Do they try to window or level or zoom, and other factors related to case-specific questions. Another feature is that we wanted to make the software similar as possible to a radiology workstation and have some of the basic features that radiologists take, for uh, their jobs. For example, being able to scroll quickly, scroll slowly, being able to change zoom features either by dragging and adjusting a mouse or by clicking presets on their keyboard. Additionally, we want users to be able to, for 3D images, compare axials and coronals, for example, in this case, compare different series. There's a scout line so that users can know where they are, and they can localize certain structures on more than one planar format. And additionally, once they're finished scrolling through and identifying the findings, they can retract the screen, demonstrate that they're finished, make their findings, answer their questions, and move on to the next question. The last key feature we want to describe is there is the availability for external interchangeable educational models in PDF format, among other formats. For example, all the instructor needs to do is put their educational material in a PDF file and then put it into a specific folder in the program. And then when the user clicks here for open instruction form, the program will search for the instruction PDF and it will automatically open it without having the user have to exit out of the program. So for our pilot study, the goal was to use RadSimPE for perceptual training to improve central line characterization on chest radiography. 41 physician assistant students participated in this study. Here we have an example of some of the perceptual education, and it shows you kind of search patterns and kind of some of the characteristics of central lines that you want to look for. For our pilot study, we used a configurable Likert light response format, so trainees could assess, is the catheter in this chest x-ray safely positioned, and is the marking that they made for the tip, how confident are they that that's correct? The survey data was collected also to ascertain participant perceptions on the training and how their experience went. So for safe positioning assessment, we found that there was some improvement in the control group after their control education, but there was substantial significant improvement in the experimental group after their perceptual education. For correctly identifying the location of the tips, there was no significant improvement in localization after education in either the control or the experimental group. So for our survey data, we asked various questions based on their experience in the past with prior perceptual education or with simulation education, and kind of their overall impression of how the education went, with higher numbers like 5 representing a good experience with our software and 1 representing a bad experience. And you can see from the graph here on the right that overall the questions were mostly in the 4s and 5s, and showing that user response was largely favorable, and all p-values we had were less than 0.001. So the conclusions we gained from our pilot study was that there was improvement in quantitative performance for a subset of the metrics. Survey data from the trainees was very positive. Additionally, we asked the instructors for feedback, and they were very positive, saying that it was easy to proctor, and they were having a much easier time, having larger educational groups than they had in the past. So in conclusion about RadSimPE, we created a software that's simple to use, easily customizable, and can be used for various educational topics. The easy customizability with the ability to readily exchange educational modules and teaching documents allows instructors to teach a wide variety of topics, and it allows a very small number of proctors to conduct pretty large educational sessions, and it saves quantitative data gained from the sessions in a format that's amenable for research on the educational effectiveness and for QI purposes as well. And thank you very much for your time and your patience.